What is up, my brothers and sisters, my agents of respect? It's your boy Trey Johnson back with another episode of the No Disrespect But podcast. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Always feel free to comment. Just make sure you keep those comments respectful. And then if you want to support your favorite podcaster, there'll be a link to do so in the episode's description. So I appreciate all support from everybody. And I'm back. I'm back, man. It was a lovely vacation, much needed for me and the doctor missus. It's been a crazy year and a half with us, moving pretty much from Georgia to South Carolina, then South Carolina to Texas. So a lot of moving and being busy with our careers. So was happy to have some time for us to just kind of relax, enjoy one another, grow with one another. And so we really appreciate it, man. 10-day cruise on Carnival Sunshine. Fantastic crew, fantastic staff, made everybody feel at home. A lot of talented folks, had a lot of fun, trivia moments. Believe it or not, beat my wife in a dancing competition. That's the first and only time that will ever happen in my lifetime. But it was fun. Uh, Saw a lot of beautiful places, St. Thomas, St. Martin, visited Puerto Rico, Grand Turks. We did visit the Dominican Republic, but we decided to stay on the boat that day and just kind of relax. But much needed. As you can probably tell, don't have my voice as much. We did kind of get sick towards the end of the trip. It's 3,000 people on a boat. Shit passes around. So, but we're both kind of recovering from that and getting our land legs back. But so happy to be back, man. Like I said, much needed time for us to get off. Um, Really sucks that we got to go to work next week, but only for a few more days until the holiday, and then we're off for a couple more weeks again. But man, really enjoyed ourselves. But I did miss you guys a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. And I mean, I was on vacation, no disrespect, but I was on vacation. I mean, I had to enjoy myself. But I will tell you, the one thing that kind of sucked a little bit was being so far removed from the action going on in the sports world, kind of getting bits and pieces here and there when we were in ports where I could use my internet. I actually kind of ran up my dad's international bill a little bit because wasn't paying attention. So there were points in time where I had the international data roaming charges, but it is what it is. He loves me, so he'll take care of most of it. But but yeah, man, that was kind of a doozy. So I was kind of loosely paying attention. I was getting alerts and things. So I saw all the messages everybody was sending me on what was kind of happening in the sports world. At times I was able to engage, but more times than not, I wasn't. So really just kind of want to talk about a little bit of some of the things that not necessarily that I missed, but that I missed the chance to talk to you guys about. And let's start with the elephant in the room, no pun intended. And that's Alabama, fresh off an SEC championship victory over the number one team in the nation at the time, UGA Bulldogs, two-time defending champs, winning the SEC and getting that last playoff spot, getting the fourth seed, and they'll be taking on Michigan in the Rose Bowl. And so there's been a lot of controversy, obviously, because Bama getting in left a undefeated Power Five team in Florida State out. All Florida State was dealing with, having to play their conference championship with their third string quarterback after their backup was injured on a dirty hit in the previous game against the University of Florida. And their starting quarterback, the best player on the team, Jordan Travis, was hurt a week earlier against North Alabama, I believe, just kind of a freak accident play. So, um, you know, 13-0. It had never happened before that a Power Five champion, an undefeated Power Five champion, didn't get into the college football playoff. And so it was the first time it happened. And the committee kind of explained that, hey, Jordan Travis being hurt, uh, Florida State's performance against Louisville in the conference championship game, which really wasn't a great one by any stretch of imagination, but they won the game. And look, I get it. Florida State has every right to be upset. I mean, again, this has never happened before where an undefeated Power Five conference champion missed the postseason, especially to a one-loss conference champion. But if you look at the strength of schedule, how the teams finished, Bama was one of the best teams in the nation, especially since that week 2 game against Texas. They were one of the better teams in the nation. They were definitely one of the 4 better teams in the nation, and they proved that by beating the 2-time defending national champions in Georgia, who were winning, who had won 29 straight games up until that point, right? Uh, so you want to prove that you're the best, you got to beat the best, and that's what Bama did. And so they had a really strong argument to get in. And look, I'm with you, Florida State. There's no way you should have been left out of the college football playoff. I mean, undefeated is undefeated. Doesn't matter really how you got there. Undefeated is undefeated. But here's the thing: everybody only wanted to talk about Florida State getting screwed by Alabama. Keep in mind, a one-loss conference champion jumped Florida State to the 3rd seed. That being the University of Texas. I'm a firm believer that the only 2 fan bases that should be arguing right now are the University of Alabama fans and the University of Texas fans on who should have got that 4th and final spot. You know me, my vote would have been for Alabama. I explained that. I explained why in a few previous episodes going into championship weekend, why I felt like, yeah, week 2 was a big deal. But guess what? Since that game, Bama was a better team than Texas. Bama had a better resume than Texas. And I get it, head to head matters, but does it really when you get into who have you played and how have you played the rest of the season? And just face it or not, week 2 was Texas' Super Bowl. They played their hearts out. And guess what? Keep in mind, Alabama went into that 4th quarter with the lead. So it wasn't as if everybody wants to say, oh, they beat them by 10 points. They dominated the game. Alabama, through all of the things they were going through, trying to figure out who their quarterback was, they were using 25% of their playbook, and that's saying it lightly, right? They were leading that game in the 4th quarter. And 2, costly mistakes by Jalen Milroe blew the game open. So it is what it is. But let's not act like since that game, Bama hadn't been a better team. Bama hadn't played the better opponents. It is what it is. So that, to me, that should have been the argument. Alabama fans versus University of Texas. And the University of Texas fans, they had the argument of, hey, we're both one-loss conference champions. So that means, hey, come head to head, we beat them fair and square in their stadium. We should get over them. Whatever it would have been, I feel like it should have been those 2 fan bases and not Florida State being the one getting butted out. But the committee made a valid point. They also kind of, created like a safe for themselves when they first started of saying, hey, injuries can determine how we pick this thing. And if Jordan Travis is healthy, if Jordan Travis is going to be available for the college football playoff, Florida State is getting it. They might think that's unfair, but that's what it is. But look, Florida State, you guys have every right to play. My only beef was that why are you only bitching about Alabama? Because all that showed me is that it wasn't that people were upset that Florida State got snubbed. They were upset that Alabama got in. Why do you say that, Trey? Because a one-loss Texas team who didn't have a better resume than Florida State. Let's keep in mind, Florida State played LSU opening game, played LSU, the team that has the Heisman winner now in Jaden Daniels. Yeah, Florida State played that team, dominated them. They went on the road, played UF, the University of Florida, with their backup quarterback, the Swamp. Yeah, that's a difficult place to play. They went in there, they won. So why was Florida State jumped by Texas? And let's keep in mind, sorry, a team that really got free in all this was Michigan. I mean, who have they played? Ohio State was like the only good team they played all season, and they get to have the 1 seed, which I think that should have went to Washington, first of all. But how are you not in position to get jumped? Everybody was talking about SEC buys. What about the Big Ten buys? Michigan played like what's softer than a cupcake? What a pillow, a feather pillow, feather pillow schedule? That's what Michigan played all season. And then they played an Ohio State team. They beat by 6 points. Great. Why did they get off scot-free? And they know they're not that good of a team. Look at how their fan base reacted. Look how their organization reacted when they said they were going to be playing Alabama, which to me further proves that Alabama should have been the team in. But Michigan, they didn't have to sweat for their playoff spot. They were like, oh, we're undefeated. We're a Power Five conference champion. And to Florida State's credit, they felt like they should have got the same love, the same leeway, especially if we're going to be talking about strength of schedule and strength of record. Who did Michigan play? So it is what it is, man. But like I said, it's less about Michigan State or Florida State getting snubbed and more about Alabama getting in because you would have said that Texas jumped Florida State. Top two teams, they're undefeated in the Power Five conference. So why couldn't you have the three Power Five undefeated teams, which would have been Michigan, Washington, and Florida State, be the top three, and then you have Alabama and University of Texas duke it out for that fourth spot. And look, I will tell you, I was nervous. I mean, when I saw Texas get to number three, I was like, there's no way. There's no way they're leaving out Florida State. There's no way they're leaving out an undefeated Power Five conference champion. There's no way. And when I saw that I was like, oh my God. I was speechless, but I'm happy. And I can't wait for Alabama to prove why they're one of the four best teams in the nation. I think they're the best team in the playoff right now, and that's including Texas, who beat them. I would love nothing more than a rematch to show that week two really didn't matter, but we'll see. Washington is a hell of a team, and so we'll talk about that, when that time comes. But really, it was just a really crazy moment, really kind of nail biter for me. And after kind of all of the debates on who should have got in, all that kind of weighed down, I really kind of thought about it like, man, we'll never really have this again, uh, at least in the near future as they're going to a 12-team playoff. And what I mean by that is, if a 12-team playoff started today or this year, Alabama was getting in. They didn't have to worry. Georgia, with the one loss to Alabama, they were getting in. And Ole Miss or LSU, they were probably getting in. And Ohio State, they were probably getting in. So you had teams that down the stretch were really playing for something. They're like, hey, I'm trying to get one of those four spots. Now I have to get one of 12. That increases my odds. And especially when you're talking about some of the better conferences like an SEC that was already kind of getting two teams in almost every other year. Now they can probably get three, maybe four teams in every year. The Big Ten, now that they're bringing in some of those Pac-12 transfers, Ohio State, Michigan, they can always be in. Now you can maybe add a third team from the Big Ten in. Man, like we're going to be maybe some of those things like where it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter as much. I think some of the rivalry games, I think the Iron Bowl and games like that are still going to matter to a degree. But when it comes to getting in the playoff, now you're going to have teams that can lose 2 and 3 games and still get in. And it's like, oh, yeah, I lost 2 or 3 games, but it's really just about getting in. It's just shit. It might turn into what the NBA has become, where it's like you have teams that are like, man, I'm really just trying to get into the playoffs, and then I'll let everything go. So I'll coast throughout the year, make sure we win, enough games to be in kind of a good position, and then we'll turn it up in the playoffs. That's kind of what college football has the potential to become. And that anxiety that we feel the last 2 to 3 weeks of the season, I think that's going to kind of go away to a degree. At least that's my opinion. Um, but look, this is what fans outside of the SEC begged for because they assumed that, this was just about getting SEC teams and dominating and all that type of stuff, which the SEC has historically dominated the college football playoff. Well, guess what? By opening it up to 12 teams, open up 8 additional spots, you have just turned the college football playoff into the SEC Invitational. And that's what it's going to be, at least for the next year or two, because I think it's 2 years. The next 2 years, they're going to be doing this. And you're going to see there's going to be 2 and 3, maybe 4 SEC teams with a chance to get a national championship. And based on how the bracketing works, you might get an SEC versus SEC national championship. You might get an all SEC semifinal. It's possible. Because I think from top to bottom, like you put the top versus the top and the bottom versus the bottom, I think the SEC is by far the best conference. And so you might have a 3 or 4 loss SEC team get a bid over a 1 or 2 loss team in the Big 12 or whatever the Pac-12 is now, or the ACC. Like, it's possible. It can happen. So we're looking forward to seeing what that is. But all in all, happy Alabama made it. Sorry, FSU. I do agree. You guys should be pissed. And you can be pissed at Alabama. It's fine. I'm not the show to cry on when it comes to that. But all I will say is, look, you have to be mad, and not just Alabama. You have to be mad that you got jumped by Texas as well. And if you have that equal outrage, I'll accept it. But if your outrage is only for Alabama, go screw yourself. So, what else kind of happened? Well, as far as the NFL goes, Saints are still a roller coaster of a team. And actually, they're more down and sad than they are good. Uh, I was able to watch some of that Detroit game, down 21 to nothing earlier. I wish Detroit would have finished the job, but they didn't. Uh, Saints were able to make that a game. Derek Carr inevitably gets hurt. When it seems like the game's out of reach, and Jameis comes in, lights a spark, gets everybody going, and then he misses a few easy throws that he should complete. Defense, um, has a chance. Defense has a chance to get the ball back to the offense, make a play, and they just shit the bed. And it was more so personnel things than anything, but it is what it is. So that was kind of a suckety see, and kind of getting the alerts from the game against Carolina, right? Where again, I say Derek Carr got hurt the Detroit game. Apparently, he had a concussion, rib injury, back injury, whatever it is. But for some reason, he turns into freaking Wolverine when it's time to play. Like I never saw somebody have two concussions in less than a month and gets cleared. So that's going to be a whole nother story. And I hope the Saints can rectify the situation before the NFL gets involved, because there's just no way, especially in this era of player safety and what we know concussions are and what they can do long term. When we saw happen to Tua last year, there's no way you're telling me that a guy can come back two concussions in less than a month and be cleared. There's no way. There is just no way. And I think a lot of ego, I think a lot of pride, I think a lot of agendas are getting in the way of protecting players. And I think that's an issue. And the organization clearly doesn't care. The ownership doesn't care because, first of all, we're using the same medical team that just sucks. Same hospitals that suck. I don't know why. Then the general manager really doesn't care. I mean, yeah, we gave a guy $150 million, but yeah, he's kind of half dead. Let's still go put him out there. So when do we value player safety? I feel like the Saints have been very bad at it in the past few years. Just thinking about what they put Michael Thomas through, what they had Drew Brees out there playing with, when there was really no need for him to be forced to play through those injuries. The Saints were winning games. It wasn't pretty, but they were winning games. You could have, had this guy rest a little bit longer, be there for the long haul when the playoff run, kind of like what Denver did with Peyton Manning. They knew they had a great defense. They knew Brock Osweiler could be good enough to not screw up. They had a great running game, great O-line. Why couldn't the Saints do some of these things with Drew Brees towards his end? And it just kind of, that trend just continues, where it just feels like players aren't being put in the best positions in terms of rehabilitating injuries or preventing injuries in the first place. And so that sucks in itself. But anyways, they play Carolina, sucked for 3.5 quarters against the worst team in the league by far, and a couple big throws, and then Derek Carr's talking king shit like he's that guy, and it's like, oh well, it's just ridiculous. And I get it. The Saints are tied first in the NFC South, but we need to stop this notion that they're a good team. They are not a good team. If we had a first place schedule like Tampa Bay has, we would suck. We would get our behinds whooped every single week. Like, come on, let's be serious. Like, I listened to After Further Review with Matt Moscano, and he had Sean Salisbury on, and he's like, oh, Derek Carr's at least, like, he's not a February guy, but he get you to January. Since when? Who's he gotten to January? He's gotten the Raiders there twice in 9 years. Like, and yeah, we're a borderline playoff team. That's because we were gifted not only the league's easiest schedule, but playing backup after backup quarterback. And guess what? We're still under 500 football team. And you keep talking about, okay, we're better than Tampa Bay and in Atlanta. Well, guess what? When we squared up on the field with them, they whooped our ass. Like, they dominated. Like, it wasn't like it was a close game. Tampa dominated the Saints. Atlanta dominated the Saints. So where is this illusion coming from that one, we're a good team, that we're a playoff team, and that we're the best team in the division. Show me. Because we had a chance to play the top two teams and the other top two teams in the division. We got blown off the field. Then, honestly, if Carolina was a decent team, they would have beat us twice. Like, let's be real. We're that close to having 0 wins in our own division, the worst division in football, right? With the league's easiest schedule. So I just came back to see that nothing's changed. The Saints are still a roller coaster team, not good. Coaches don't care. Coaches are incompetent. General manager doesn't care, and the owner damn sure doesn't care. She's dealing with the Pelicans. That's her baby. That's great. Keep the Pelicans. Sell the Saints because I'm getting tired of this crap. Like I really am. Like don't don't maneuver your way into a position and then just let it go to crap. Because there was a person in place that had been in place for well over a decade that did all the freaking work, and you weaseled your way in. You put that thing on your husband, being his third wife. I guess he wanted to make this one work, and he went against everything he ever known. Went against his family. Went against the person that he had pretty much groomed for this job to give it to you, and you're just treating it like it's crap, like it's just a plaything. Give it to somebody that cares, because you clearly don't, and that is what it is. Anyways, outside of NFL. Joey, Mr. Otani. Let a brother hold the dollar, man. 700 million, $700 million. And look, I know he's worth it. To me, he is the best player I have ever seen. And I'm not a big baseball guy, so don't fucking come for me with naming all these players. Look, Barry Bonds was my guy for a long time. I know everybody says Babe Ruth. Come on, man. Like, stop it. Get real. Um, But Shohei, he's two players. Like I was telling somebody like this on Twitter. I was like, he's two players in one. He's a starting pitcher, and he's one of the better hitters in Major League Baseball. So it's basically like you're paying two max players this deal. But what I didn't know was possible, and look, I'm pretty sure somebody's going to look into this to see if this is reasonable or whatnot. But to have $700 million deal, right? We know in baseball all of that money is guaranteed. Well, the first 10 years of the deal, he's only getting 20 million. He's gonna get 2 million a year for the first 10, which is the life of the contract, right? And then the next $680 million will be paid between 2034 and 2043. So essentially when he's retired, because he's not gonna be playing, 20 years from now. See, he's my age. He's not gonna be playing 20 years from now. So they're basically gonna be paying a guy that's not even playing for him anymore. I didn't even know that was possible. Like I don't know much about. I know enough about the contracts when it comes to baseball, but that was just something. Just I never knew a team could do. I think there's going to be some major changes in Major League Baseball when it comes to that because if you can essentially sign a guy to that big of a deal, but then say, hey, well, technically speaking, we're not going to pay him that much money now. That's going to be when he retires. Like, what? I don't think that should be legal. I do think the commissioner should step in. I mean, it's kind of too late now. It's not deal with Shohei, but I think for future reference, they need to do something about that because that's just ridiculous. But needless to say, and they said it was Otani's idea. So I have no idea. So I have no idea where he even had the mindset to think like that. But that shit was smart as hell. And granted, I guess he was saying, I'm getting so much money from endorsement deals and things like that, both in America and in Japan. I can afford to do that and give the team flexibility to create or build a contender for championships, which the Dodgers have always attempted to do, having always been the most successful in terms of always cashing in. But they've been pretty solid the past 10 years, but Shohei just said, they kind of told them, hey, these past 10 years were a failure because we haven't won enough championships despite what we've done. So maybe having the most or the best player, in my opinion, ever in Major League Baseball history and bringing some of their guys back and being able to have that flexibility to add more stars, who knows what can happen. But I hate the Dodgers. I do. I want him to be a Yankee. But I can see how maybe some teams were like, I can't stop this type of deal, man. It's crazy. But Shout out to Showhead. Hey man, I don't know if you're a fan of the show. Like I said, hey, donate $1. Look, for only 99 cents a month, you can be a subscriber. Like, man, let me hold something, bro. uh, well, while I was gone, when it comes to the NBA, my Spurs or my San Antonio Wimbies, well, they sucked. They were on, an 18 game losing streak. But Wimby looked good throughout it. So, you take the yin with the yang, the good with the bad. But as of tonight, the losing streak has ended and the winning streak of one has begun. And we got a win over, can we call them our rivals? I guess so. The Lakers, we've had some postseason banter historically, but not so much in, maybe the last, 15 years or so. But really excited to get a big win. Andy Davis didn't play, so that kind of helped a lot, especially with us being able to get to the rim without having AG there. Wimmy didn't have his best game statistically, but he definitely made a difference on both ends of the floor. Really did well as a passer today. If anybody was able to watch the game, him getting his teammates in good spots, especially cutting to the rim and things like that. But man, so happy we broke this losing streak. It might start up again because I think we have the Bucks next. But wouldn't it be great if we go on a winning streak? I'm hoping for the best. I want us to break the Houston Rockets and the LA Lakers. I want us to break their record for most consecutive wins. I think it's like 27 or 28. I want us to break that record. I would love to see that. That would put us at 31 and 20 or something like that. So let's pray for that. But saw a lot of good things tonight. Talk about Wimby as a passer. Love myself from Devin Vassell had a career high 36 points, his first 30-point game of his career, which is kind of crazy, given he's a very efficient three-level scorer. But thinking about you had moments where DeMar was our guy, and then DeJounte and Derek were our guys. So and then he got injured last year, so missed a ton of the season, especially because we were tanking. So it kind of makes sense that he hasn't had like very high volume scoring games when you put all that into context. But he's definitely, in my opinion, like the Robin to Wimby's Batman, essentially. So, and kind of that perimeter guy that you're going to need to be able to take over games. Like as dominant as Shaq was, you needed that Kobe Bryant to take over the game, right? From a perimeter standpoint, you need a guy like that. And so I think Devin can bring that dynamic. Bench play really well. Zach Collins, who's been moved to the bench now, I think that's better for him because he has a little more space to work with. It makes more sense to run kind of an offense through him in that capacity because we didn't kind of roll in Charles Bassey and Mamu. We didn't really have a big we could run offense through. So now having Zach at the second unit, you have a big you can do that with. Cheddar, baby. Chetty Osman, who I call Cheddar Cheese. He had 15 or 17 points tonight, which is really good. Um, Doug McBuckets had some timely buckets this game. So kind of when the Lakers were making a run and pushed it really close, we started kind of pulling away in the fourth quarter, which was great because our bench really came to life. Love seeing Devontae Graham get some minutes. I mean, look, the dude has after this year, he still has 2 years left on his contract. I would like to see us start to utilize him a little bit more even if it's to increase his trade value. So then we can, let him go to a team and get some like a second round pick or something for him. I think we gave a second round pick to get him from the Pelicans. So maybe if we can do something like that again to kind of give him to a contender or something, somebody is looking for a backup point guard, wouldn't that be great, man? But anyway, so happy the Spurs won that game. Sticking to the NBA and some things that happened when I was out. Got to talk a little bit about Draymond Green being suspended indefinitely after striking Jusuf Nurkic in the face. Yeah, and the big Nurk kind of flopped a little bit, but man, this is just a trend with Draymond, and I think it's gotten out of hand. And the last few days, everybody's talking about the blame game. Obviously, Draymond gets the blame. He's the guy committing these infractions. But also we have to talk about enabled behavior, right? And I think Golden State has enabled this behavior. It has contributed to 4 championships. So to some degree, I get it because this is a guy that, like his antics to a degree, have helped create a winning culture at Golden State. And look, everybody knows I respect stuff. I respect, Steve Curry and what Golden State has done, but they've let some things slide. It ain't just with Draymond Green. Look, we know Zaza Pachulia was sent out on a mission. I don't give a damn what nobody says. We know he was sent out on a mission to take out Kawhi's ankle. It is what it is. And so when you kind of establish that culture, when you let guys, go a little bit too far, and you give them a slap on the wrist. Now you don't want to give them a slap on the wrist. You just kind of give them a little tap, right? Then they get a little bit out of control. I mean, you would have thought that when Draymond's antics, and not that the incident with LeBron James in the finals was really the straw, but the things that accumulated throughout that season that had all these technical fouls and flagrant fouls on him, allowing all those things to transpire, and then him getting to the altercation with LeBron James in the 2015 finals, and then or 2016 finals, I'm sorry, and then you end up blowing the 3-1 lead. Like that cost you a championship. I would have thought that at that point in time, they would have said, hey, man, you have to relax. Like you have to find a different way to play because this cost us a championship. Well, I guess they didn't think anything of it because they went back to back with Kevin Durant on the team. Then they won another title a couple years later. So it didn't matter. They were like, oh, well, it's a winning culture. But I think sometimes when you win, you let things go that now when you're losing or you're not at the top anymore, right? Which the Warriors aren't those guys anymore. Now everything gets exposed. And now we want to talk and you see what happens with the Jordan Poole incident last year and the stepping on Domantas Sabonis in the playoffs last year. And now the token Rudy Gobert, and now the striking Yusuf Nurkic. Like the league had to take a stand and say, "Hey, man, Golden State, it's out of your hands now. We've given you opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. It's been almost a freaking decade, and you have yet to be able to keep this dude under control. And that's ownership, that's front office, that's Steve Kerr, that's Steph, that's Clay, that's other teammates around them that have been in that building, those that have a relationship with Draymond. But I'm going to hold it to people that are in that building because, I know some people are saying, well, Drake or LeBron needs to talk to. Well, LeBron is playing for the Lakers. He got to worry about the Lakers. Yeah, Draymond's his boy, his friend, but guess what? Draymond, we're in competitive mode right now. We're in competitive mode right now. So no, guys outside the Golden State organization don't need to be meddling in this business right now. It needs to be the guys in house. And now everybody wants to talk and say, "Oh, we want to get him some help and everything." Like y'all acting like the dude's a freaking crack addict or something. Like, nah, he just does dumb stuff on the court. Just say, "Hey, stop doing dumb stuff on the court. Stop failing. Stop flailing. Stop kicking people in the crotch. Stop hitting people in the face. Stop trying to choke people out. Stop stepping on people's chests." Can you do that? Can you stop getting in referee's face? I mean, I have not seen someone who gets so much leeway with officials where he's all in their face. Like I remember Rajon Rondo getting suspended for bumping a ref. Here is Draymond Green all in their face, fingers boom boom boom, and nothing happens, not even a tap. But I digress, but there's a lot of people. Draymond mostly is going to be the culprit of his actions, right? But I think there's been a lot of enablers throughout Draymond's career that have let this go on too long. And now, I mean, the dynasty is kind of falling, and now we want to pick apart all the bad things. This has been going on for the better part of a decade, but either way, Draymond is a hell of a player. I hope he understands that like he doesn't have to do some of the things he's doing. Uh, to get by because he's still a very talented player, especially on the defensive end. He doesn't have to do some of these antics, man. Be better. I think he's probably going to get about 10 games, 10 to 15 games. And I just hope he's better for it. And I hope Golden State begins to look in the mirror a little bit about what they enable as an organization and how they can fix that. Because believe it or not, man, it's ruining the latter years of Steph Curry right now with all this damn drama that's going on. They need to clean that shit up. But anyways, I'm done in terms of what I caught. Look, that's what happened when I was out. Wanted to touch on some of these things. Did that. Before I go, want to touch on three things, three games, three college football games, because Bowl Mania is starting, baby. And that's starting tomorrow, December 16th. And so there are three games. There's going to be 7 games happening this weekend. But wanted to pick out three that I personally am looking forward to. Georgia Southern versus Ohio was one of them. Now, I was really looking forward to it because I really liked Ohio's quarterback, but he's in the transfer portal now, so he won't be starting the game, which now makes sense why a 6-6 Georgia Southern team is favored over a 9-3 Ohio team. And that's because Ohio is getting killed by the transfer portal with a lot of their starters entering the transfer portal. And I just don't get it. I mean, that's another episode with the transfer portal. But I'm like, if you're a guy and you're playing well at an institution, like you can get in. Man, bro, Joe Flacco was a first round pick playing at the University of Delaware. Like, it doesn't really matter where you are. If you are that person, you can get a job at the NFL. You can be a first round pick in the NFL. But these guys think, oh, I gotta go to Power Five or go here or there to get more exposure. Not really. Just play your game. Be dominant. Be dominant. I mean, Jake Hayner, 4th round pick. Bailey Zapp was a draft pick. Played at HB Houston Baptist, which is now Houston Christian, and played at Western Kentucky. Like you can get a chance to play in this league, man. Like, anyways, that's another story. But um, I really didn't know how until I did some research on the matchup, right? I didn't really know how depleted Ohio was. With their roster, everybody's leaving in the portal. And again, Georgia Southern, like I said, a 6-6 ball team on a 4-game losing streak now, people. 4-game losing streak. Two of the 4 games they've lost by 20 points. So I don't it was hard for me to make this pick, but look, I'm gonna go with Georgia Southern on this one just because. Look, I was excited about Ohio. I was excited about their quarterback, but he's no longer there, and it's not like I watched them enough to know who's behind him. So I'm gonna go with Georgia Southern on this one as well. I've watched a few more of their games than I did Ohio. Second game that I'm really looking forward to is the Celebration Bowl, the Black National Championship game for the D1 HBCUs, MEAC versus SWAC. Howard representing the MEAC, FAMU representing the SWAC. Both teams are making their first appearance in this game. And I believe, if I'm correct, this is the first time both of these teams, this is their first postseason bowl game since the 90s, something like that. I know FAMU participated in the FCS playoffs a few years ago. Actually played my alma mater, Southeastern. Got their ass whooped, but that's, and that is what it is. Don't want to bring up that. But anyway, sticking to this game, if you know anything about this matchup, has been the champion of the MEAC and the champion of the SWAC. And the MEAC has dominated. They are 6-1 in this. They have won the last 5. And yeah, it's been like that. But man, I think the SWAC gets it. I think the SWAC wins it for the first time since Grambling State did it in 2016, I believe. Man, FAMU, I've actually watched them, and look, they've had a pretty good program. I mean, they just kind of suffered from, you know, Coach Prime and what he was doing, with Jackson State and the SWAC. And so that's kind of the hump FAMU wasn't able to get over a little bit. But now, I mean, they were, man, if you actually watch this team play, man, they were running some dudes out of they was running people off the field. I think so they got 11 wins on the year, right? I think 10 of those wins are about 10 points or more. I think there's 6 wins in SWAC. I think we're about 14 points or more. So like I said, blowing people off the field, high profile offense. I know Howard has a great ground and pound game. So maybe if they can get their rushing game going, they can probably keep that high profile FAMU offense off the field. But FAMU has the second best defense in the nation, not the conference, the nation, not just for HBCUs, the nation. So yeah, they really like that. And I know they've had some guys go to the league from their defense. Marquise Bell, their the edge rusher is escaping me right now. Landing, I believe is his last name. I think he plays for the Cowboys as well. I know that's where Marquise Bell is. And they've just built up a unit on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And I believe FAMU is favored by 6.5, so pretty much almost a touchdown this game. I don't think Howard can keep up with him. I just don't, especially when you rely heavily on the run game to boost your offense. I think that makes it a little bit easier for the defense to defend you. And so if Howard can't get things going in a passing game, and granted, look, Howard has one of the better pass defenses in the country, so they're going to be able to do some things to affect these wide receivers for FAMU, maybe. But I think there's too much firepower. It might be close a little bit early, but I can see FAMU pulling away in the second half, winning by 17 points or more or something like that. And last bowl I'm looking forward to, and it's really just because I'm a fan of Chip Kelly. I've always have been from his time at Oregon, and then even when he was the head coach for Philadelphia for a little bit. Um, just been a fan of his, and so I know he had some folks has been affected by the portal a little bit. Their high-profile freshman quarterback Dante Moore has entered the transfer portal when UCLA kind of the last year in the Pac-12. Get ready for Big Ten. It'll be a chance to create some positive momentum going against Boise State, who is going to be starting a true freshman as their starting quarterback pretty much most of the season has transferred to Arkansas. Taylon Green, I believe is his name. So, man, just a side note, it used to be fun. You knew who was going to be playing in these games. You knew a little bit about the history of these players. But now, whether it be the transfer portal or the opt outs, it's just crazy, man. Like the team that's playing in a bowl game isn't the team that's been playing all season because they don't have the same players. Sometimes they don't have the same coaching staff. You have guys who have gotten promotions and going to other institutions, or head coaches that have left, things like that. But I'm gonna go with UCLA on this one. They just think they have enough of their guys playing in this game. I just love their coach team. I mean, who would have thought that um, Chip Kelly would have a good defense. A Chip Kelly coach team have a good defense, but that's what UCLA has. I do think, despite all that is college football, I think it might still be kind of a shootout. But I can see UCLA just with the athletes that they have pulling away. So those are my top three that I'm looking forward to watching. Again, there's 7 games going on. I'm gonna try to watch all of them. Got a few Christmas parties over the next couple of days. One we're actually hosting, so of course I'm going to be forced to do some things, set up and stuff, which I hate. I'm not a handyman at all, but it is what it is. I do what I have to do for the love of my life. So it is what it is. Anyways, look, man, that's my spill. Miss y'all. But I will tell you, I've enjoyed myself. I didn't spend too much time thinking about y'all, but I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support and happy to be back talking sports with you guys. And there's so much going to be going on. You're getting the college football season, bowl season. You're getting the playoff push for the NFL. It's Christmas time around the NBA. That's usually where it starts to kind of pick up a little bit. And then you see some things that might happen before with trades and things like that before the All-Star break, and then just kind of straight to the play-in and playoff picture. So, man, there's a lot going on in the sports world. I'm looking forward to the college football off season with the draft and everything, and draft prospects and senior bowls, and going to try to have some folks come by and just talk about maybe some prospects that we need to be on the lookout for. There's going to be some names that I'm sure we all know and love or have some type of familiarity with. But what I'm always intrigued about is guys that that we've never really heard of because they may have gone to a smaller school or we just haven't really seen them on the national stage. And you just kind of you look out for those guys. They dominate in like the Senior Bowls and the pro days and the combine and things like that. They end up having great careers. So really excited about what's coming down the pipeline. And you know you're gonna get all the good stuff right here on the No Disrespect But podcast. So with that being said, if there's anything that I said today that offended anybody, it's a good thing. It's an opportunity for me to learn, and it's an opportunity for you to teach me. All I ask is that you keep it respectful. Peace.